Hey, what's up, guys? So, I've been talking about the Nintendo NX a lot, and I've been making a lot of videos where I was trying to find verification and kind of having a ring of truth to the rumors. That's not giving me too much content to work with, so what I'm going to do now is just make videos giving my thoughts on the rumors themselves, the actual contents of the rumors, and not the implications surrounding it. So I'm not going to treat them like they're 100% fact. I wasn't anyways, but I'm not going to try and find ones that I can treat as close to that as possible. I'm just going to basically read the rumors and kind of give my thoughts as we go. Not exactly the most original idea, but hey, everyone has different thoughts, and I'm pretty sure some people are interested in hearing mine. So, this one was posted very, very recently. It was just posted on NeoGAF at 2 a.m. early this morning, so it's fairly recent. And it's posted by 10K, that same guy who was doing those tiered rumors, such as T1 means one source told, T2 means two, blah blah blah. You get the idea. The more tiers, the more T's, the better, because the more sources gave him that info. At least according to his, his info. And he is verified on NeoGAF, which does give it a little bit more standing, but it could also be bullshit. So, just like he actually says in this post, take it with a grain of salt. Alright. Starting under the T3s, the NX gimmick, he said it was going to be a second screen controller where it doesn't have any processing, but it can take your games on the go. Now, the closest thing we have to that right now is Steam's in-home streaming along with PlayStation and Xbox. They do that too, where you can remotely play your games on another device, such as a PC or a phone or something, and the external device isn't doing the processing, your console still is. What's making me iffy about this is the fact that it says it has no processing capabilities built in, but you can take it on the go anywhere. Now, in order to be able to access the original NX hardware, it would need a very, very strong internet connection on both ends for it to properly play. I am very iffy about this being the NX's gimmick, but who knows? Nintendo could surprise us with something. He mentioned something about selling personal hotspot USB adapters and stuff. I'm not too interested in this one, and I'm hoping that if there is a screen controller, that it's a optional thing. Such as the VMU on the Dreamcast, that was a totally optional thing. It did cost more than a regular memory card, but you could do it if you wanted to, and I'm hoping... And even, by the way, a screen controller wouldn't cost that much to produce. Using the technology found in, like, a relatively inexpensive smartphone, which would only cost, like, maybe 20 to 30 bucks to construct the controller in bulk like Nintendo does, that wouldn't be a bad idea. But I still think having a traditional controller would be a really good idea to just package with the system. T2 rumors, two sources. Luigi's Mansion 3 is in development for NX. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail about this one. What I am going to say, though, is that if there is a third Luigi's Mansion game, I want it to be more like the first game, where we had... the mansion wasn't separated into levels where you had to finish a mission. You just went through, cleared rooms, and explored the mansion, and found your way to the basement. And I liked that idea of kind of slowly chipping my way through the mansion, seeing the rooms get lit up. I liked the minimal music. There was music in dark hallways during bosses and stuff and during cutscenes, but if it was like a dark room or a lit room for that matter, there wasn't any music. It was just Luigi whistling or humming. And I liked that. It helped with the atmosphere. The next one is that the NX is going to be using a Polaris GPU. Polaris is AMD's new line of graphics card that's going to be coming out soon, and if the Nintendo NX is already starting manufacturing, it's possible that they could squeeze Polaris onto there. If they do and manage to get it manufactured at 14 nanometers, of course, like Polaris is, that would create a more efficient system that produces less heat and draws less power. So that helps a lot too. It would cost more, but Nintendo could strike a deal with AMD, and considering how desperate AMD and Nintendo are both for business, that would actually be good for both of them if they got that to work out. Even if Nintendo had to take a loss, they managed to get it to work really well with the 3DS. So if they play their cards correctly, they could have it work out really well, just like what they did with the 3DS too. There's another part in here, in this section here, about the NX's GPU and CPU being around the same level as the rumored PlayStation, I cringe when I say this, PlayStation 4K. The rumor is that it's going to be around 2 times as powerful as the original one. That again, if Nintendo doesn't do that, they're stupid. Because they're releasing a system in 2016, possibly, which would be 3 years after the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One released. If Nintendo squeezes as much power as they can into a system for $400, it should be more powerful than the PlayStation 4. And if Sony does the same exact thing with the updated PlayStation 4, just updates the internal components to be $400, or they're able to sell it at $400 in 2016, then they're going to get around the same power. And in that case, Sony and Nintendo will be neck and neck, and there would be no reason for developers not to bring games to the NX due to lack of power, because they're both going to be at the same level. Now, if Nintendo keeps the NX out for, 5 to 6 years like a regular console, is Sony going to release a new one beforehand and do a different generation, or are they going to wait it out with this newer hardware? I personally think they're going to wait it out. I mean, they definitely liked the fact that they waited out last generation, and if the PlayStation 4 sells well enough, they'll be able to do it this generation too. We'll just have to wait and see. The NX is using Vulkan. Now, Vulkan is an API, kind of like DirectX or AMD's Mantle. That would be pretty cool, like if that was what the API that the NX would be using, and it would make sense if it's being used on an AMD APU or GPU or whatever it's using. That would make perfect sense, because the Xbox is using DirectX, the PlayStation 4 I'm pretty sure is using OpenGL. So having Vulkan, and by the way, Vulkan is extremely flexible and easy to work with, so that'd be very smart. Most dev kits won't be given until Nintendo formally reveals an NX. That one actually makes sense. That's kind of what they've always done in the past, just given SDKs to developers, but not actually giving the hardware out really to many people until it's announced, and that's to avoid hardware leaks. Mercury Steam has a kit already and is making an announced game for the NX, Raiders of the Broken Planet, whatever. Final Fantasy 15, that would be pretty cool. I'm actually more interested in when that game comes out on PC, and it is happening. We've heard the creators mention it already, that they want to make a ground-up version for the PC. I mean, from the ground up, because they had to cut a lot of content because the consoles couldn't handle it. NX will likely launch at different times per region. That does make sense. Again, a lot of the stuff in this post makes sense. So, again, take it with a grain of salt, but it does make sense. Like, this stuff in here isn't too out of the ordinary. He says it in the thread here that the reason that would happen would be to avoid supply shortages, and considering that, the architecture and stuff for the NX is all going to be brand new stuff, it's good to release the system in regions where game consoles are more popular than it would be to release in other regions first. So we're probably going to see it in Europe and North America before we see it in Oceania or Japan or Asia or anything like that. There are lots of NX games in development. The NX software output is going to blow away the Wii U. There's a lot of games in development. We probably won't see a lot of them at E3 because a lot of Wii U projects weren't announced till January 2013, but I'm very impressed so far with what I'm hearing. If Nintendo learned their lesson from the Wii U, it's that they need to have games for their system, otherwise it's not going to sell. They did the same thing with the 3DS, but I actually made a video previously on why Nintendo didn't try as hard with the Wii U like they did with the 3DS, and that's because they kind of knew it was hopeless, which kind of sucks, but yeah, if Nintendo manages to make a system where they release a lot of games and get third-party support, they're going to completely squash the competition, because people would have a place to get their Nintendo games and their third-party games, and that would be a great, all-in-one system to have. New IPs are being developed. That's cool, too. I'm hoping that Nintendo, for their new IPs, hires a lot of young developers like they did with Splatoon, because young people tend to be more in touch about what gamers want than older people do, at least within Nintendo. That would be pretty cool. So anyways, that's all these NX rumors. I didn't go through everything in this forum thread, so I'm going to leave a link to the forum thread in the description for you guys to read it yourself. It's intriguing stuff. Now, I'm not going to sit here and freak out and get super excited like Obi-Wan Plays does, because he treats everything like fact, and I'm okay with that, but it's something you can't really do, otherwise you're going to be very disappointed if certain things don't come true. But based on all these rumors I'm hearing, if this stuff is true, that would be pretty cool. It sounds like Nintendo is learning their lesson.